Right, welcome everyone. Today I'm going to discuss about the exam feedback, and we are going to discuss the midterm paper, the midterm examination of the year 11, IGCSE 91 2021 midterm examination. So this midterm examination, I use a case study from Apple, this paper out of 33 and out of 50 minutes paper. So context I use here, the Apple and the Steve Jobs. You can see the small description there. And the Apple Incorporation is an American multinational technology company headquartered in Cupertino, California, that designs, develops, and sells consumer electronics, computer software, and online services. It is considered one of the big technology companies. Apple was founded by Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ronald Wayne in April 1976 to develop and sell Wozniak's Apple I personal computer. Though Wayne sold his share back within 12 days, it was incorporated as Apple Computer Incorporated. In January 1977, and sales of its computers, including the Apple II, grew quickly. Within few years, Jobs and Wozniak had hired a staff of computer designers and had a production line. Apple went public in 1980 to instant financial success. As of June 2021, Apple was the largest publicly traded company in the world by market capitalization, with an estimated value of $1 trillion as of August 2, 2021. Apple's worldwide annual revenue in 2019 total $260.1 billion, growing to $274.3 billion in 2020. Right. So we can see here the sales growth, actual the figures 2019 2020. So taken from the main Apple Incorporation, their financial statements. Their revenue increased from 2019 to 260 billion to 274.3 billion in 2020. So first question, define the term overdraft. Define questions usually they're not using application. So define the term overdraft. Overdraft is a financial facility provided by the current account holders, financial facility provided by the commercial banks to their current account holders, where you can actually borrow more money than you have in your account. So it's a short-term method of finance, usually high interest rates. So I got few like very successful answers, and you got, I think most of you actually scored 1 out of 1. So overdraft, defining, you have to mainly explain the key definition is mainly given for the current account holders, where they can actually borrow more money than they have. That's the point. They can borrow more money. They can take more money, withdraw more money than they have in overdraft. Than they have in a current account balance. That's called like a short-term loan, short-term credit facility provided by commercial banks to their current account holders. Right. So these points are there in your most of the answers successfully have written that answer. So most of you got 1 out of 1. Okay, so that's one marks. Second question, state one variable cost in Apple Incorporation. State one variable cost in Apple Incorporation. So here state questions is AO2. Basically, we are checking your AO2. AO2 means assessment objective number 2. It is application skills we are testing here. State one variable cost of Apple Incorporation means you have to mention what are the you can say the raw materials they are using. We can use examples like raw materials such as silicon, such as aluminum for the making. Sometimes you meet this, you can see the chips, batteries, mobile phone accessories, like that. You can say an example for raw materials. And some answers I saw you got design like direct labor. There are names of direct labor such as the design and something like that. So wages for the packaging the people. Sometimes some people use the like a direct material like packaging cost for the Apple phone, iPads, and everything for. So most of the successful answers are there, but couple of times I have noticed that you haven't mentioned any right application in this case. Some people just say the materials we are using for mobile phones. So we have to specifically say what are the like a main specific items. Some people actually, I think you have very knowledgeable people. I saw in your answer sometimes you talk about the aluminum, the lithium, the lead part, different raw materials they specifically mention. So that's the example. So you can sometimes just one sentence, one word, aluminum used to make their phones and chips, silicon used to make their chips, like that, or packaging cost of the mobile phones and tabs. If you just mention packaging, it's not relevant. If you just mention the spare parts, it's not not relevant, not apply. So contextual. This is very easy question, but most of the students I found, actually about 80% of the students actually they written this question successfully, but some of you, but 20% was not still don't know what it mean by state question. You have written the generic answer, but not applied to the case study. So if you can just write direct material, direct labor, so that's don't make any sense, even though it's logically correct. Let's say the variable cost example, direct material example, aluminium, like lead or silicon chips they're using, or sometimes like a camera they're using in the phones, like that. So you have to be more specific when you're writing application state questions. All right. And the next question, third question here, the question number 1, part 3. Calculate the Apple's percentage of annual revenue growth from 2019 to 2020. So this case also, I think I figured out about 90% of the students, like they have easily calculated this one, percentage growth, the revenue growth rate. You have to take the numbers from the case study. So it's 2019 to 260.1 billion. And 2020 it's 274.3 billion. So you can take the difference between this. So that is 14. You can see the difference, final minus initial, divide by initial into 100. That is 274.3 minus 260.1 over 260.1 into 100. So the answer is 5.46. 5.46. So yeah, you have to show the workings. And they sometimes answer the more. I've found out all of you actually show your workings, so no problem. So here, final minus initial, divide by initial into 100. So answer is 5.46. Here normally I haven't mentioned to how many decimal points you need. I need the answer, but I gave the answer even for 1 dp if you correctly calculated. So 5.46 percentage, the correct answer. Even though if you write 5.4, 5.5%, I gave the marks for this question. Without percentage sign, I deduct 1 mark. So, but most of you actually write with the correct answer with the percentage sign. So it's final minus initial, divide by initial into 100. So I'll show you the working in the whiteboard. You can see the number here is basic calculation. This is mathematics. So here values in the 2020, 274.3. That's a final figure, minus 2019 figure, 260.1 billion, right? And divide by final minus initial, divide by initial figure, which is 260.1 billion, right? And then multiply by 100 as a percentage. So you can get the correct answer here, 5.46%. Right, this is the correct answer for the 2-mark question. You have to show this working with or without working. If you provide the correct answer, 5.46%, I gave the correct answer. Some of you actually write is sales increased by 5.46 from 2019 to 2020. They write and they can make it like a sentence also. I get the full answer. This is how we'll do the workings. Final minus initial, divide by initial into 100. So it's a basic calculation, percentage of the sales growth. This kind of questions are there in our Excel syllabus. You can see like most of the time they're asking percentage of sales growth, percentage of cost revenue growth. Sometimes difference between some fixed cost, difference between variable cost. If you want to find some difference figure, if you want to find out some kind of like what is the percentage change, you have to use this formula always. It's final minus initial, divide by initial into 100, right? Okay, we are going to the second question of this paper. The second question is a 6-marker question. The iPhone 13 release date is 24th of September 2021. It's today, right? So for all 4 models, iPhone 13, iPhone 13 mini, iPhone 13 Pro, iPhone 13 Pro Max are all now available to pre-order in the US, UK. And the Chief Financial Officer here, the Luca Mastri, asked to prepare the cash flow forecast for the financial year 2021-2022. Analyze the importance of preparing cash flow forecast for Apple. So here I expect to write two benefits of cash flow forecast. 6-marker questions we expect in AO2 and AO3, which is application part and the analysis part. So application we are given 3 marks, analysis 3 marks. So this question no need to define, but I found out some students actually they start the answer by defining what is meant by cash flow forecast. For a 6 mark in IGCSE level, we don't need to define, right? You can just right straight away. You can start with the 2 points. One important points you can see the cash flow forecast preparing is they can Apple Incorporation can find out future cash inflows and outflows, and they can figure out the cash shortages in coming months, and then they can prepare for some kind of those shortages they can prepare in advance. So in this case, Luca Mastrican can ask some kind of bank overdraft, bank loans, some kind of actions they can working capital management problems. They can take some measures in advance. So it's helped them to right maintain their smooth working flow, like they can pay their suppliers on time, they can maintain their sales, and they can find out what are the problems in the departments, and they can measure all that. Like you have mentioned more application points here, like by issuing this 2020, this is 24 days after issuance of the new iPhone 13, they can expect, like we can predict more sales will be coming from the business organization. So cash flow forecast, it's important. First one is you can find out cash shortages and surpluses, and you can find out, you have to support that answer after looking at the shortages and surpluses. They can take some actions, needful things they can do as a financial controller, remedial actions they can take, and they can identify in advance before it happens, because it's forecast. Right. Another thing is a cash flow forecast. By preparing for iPhone company, by preparing cash flow forecasting, we can find it's very helpful to actually, especially funding. If your application for funding, in this case, if they are like asking for a bank loan or a bank overdraft, or even they wanted to do some research and development project, and they're going for a share issue or something, you can actually, for investors and everything, you can this forecast, you can actually show as a backup document, some supplementary document in order to obtain the cash flow. So therefore, it is application for fundings, it is help. So most of you actually in the 6 mark question go above 4 and 3. So most of your application, only the part missing, most of your weak in application, and analysis part also good. But I found some people actually, some students, they talk about the disadvantage of cash flow forecast, which is unnecessary, because you're asking the importance of preparing cash flow. If you ask impacts of preparing cash flow, like you can say pros and cons, like advantage, disadvantage, both. But here, writing 2 advantages, like 2 paragraphs, is enough. I saw very quality answers from you. I think this is very most like a successful question everyone attempted in the exam. Right. After that, the question number 3 was a pretty calculation questions about the cash flow forecast. Most of you, I think 90% of the students actually correct, got 5 out of 5. I have given 10 blanks to find out the cash flow forecasting. So most of you actually prepared this properly. You can see revenue. So subtotal is here 3,000. You can see same figure, subtotal, only one subtotal, revenue 3,000, first one. And import cost, here you have to take the difference between this. So it's 4,000 minus these 3. That is 700, 950. 4,000 minus 950 is here. Part B, answer 3,050. 3,050. And part D, you have to take the total. You have to add the sum of the total outflows. That is, you can see part D, 3,750. 3,750 is the part D answer. Part C answer, the missing figure, rent. You can see rent is a fixed cost which do not change with the level of output. So every month is 200. So 200. C also 200, 200. And then part E, after that, the subtotal of the month of February. Part E total 4,950. 4,950. And then part G, net cash flow. So that's the difference between cash inflow in February 3,000 minus cash outflow in February 4,950. So here the part G answer is minus 1,950, because here outflow is greater than inflow. Inflow only 3,000, outflow 4,950. So it's minus, for negative value coming here, negative minus 1,950. And part I is addition of that opening balance plus net cash flow. The value is 850 plus minus 1,950 950. The answer is minus 1100. So I answer is minus 1100. Some of you actually I found out without writing a minus, you write a positive figure by just adding. So then I deduct that mark because it's negative sign has a meaning, because the negative sign is some people actually wrote in a bracket the negative 1100 and positive 1100. There's two meanings, right? So then this closing balance of February become the opening balance in March. Therefore, part F answer is minus 1100, same figure. That's why if you write here positive answer, he also become positive, and then these two become wrong. So now net cash flow, part H answer is 200 here, because inflow is greater than outflow. Inflow at 4200, outflow 4000 here, positive 200 coming. And then if you add with the minus 1100, so closing balance is the opening balance plus net cash flow is minus 900, negative 900 figure. That's a I think answer. But most of the students actually, I found everyone, I think about 80% got 5 out of 5 for this question. Some of you got 3 out of 5. Some of the like 2 or 3 parts, 4 parts wrong out of 10. But this is a successful question. Another one, this is from chapter 27, from cost part. I have taken this question. Calculate the total revenue, US dollar millions. This questions also I found about 95% of the students actually correctly apply this knowledge, business mathematics. Total revenue equal, is the price into quantity. This case, the iPhone 11 Pro Max 256 GB sells for $1,249 in 2019, and they have manufactured and sold 3 million units. Total fixed cost for the year 500 million, and variable cost per mobile phone is $249. So total revenue equal total revenue price into quantity. So price 1,249 times quantity 3 million. So value in million, 1,249 times 3 is 3,747. 3,447, 3747 dollars in million. You have to mention the dollar value and the million sign, 3,747. Some of you expand that answer by adding another 6 zeros, right? But they ask you as values in millions, you can just mention 3,747 millions also, but most of you got the 2 out of 2. Calculate the profit formula, total revenue minus total cost. Your total revenue you just calculated here, 3,747. Total cost equal fixed cost plus variable cost. Here some of you make some mistake by calculating the total cost. Some of you add just the fixed cost 500 million and plus variable cost 249. So because this is a variable cost per mobile phone per unit, the total variable cost equal 249 multiplied by 3 million. So that's the value of the total variable cost. Then that's why some of you, I think 1 or 2 make this mistake, just add the 500 million plus 249 without multiplying by 3. So you have to multiply 249 by 3. Then you can get the total cost 500 million plus 249 into 3, 1,247. 1,247 total cost coming. Then the net profit, the profit for the iPhone, total revenue minus total cost coming 2,500 million, so 2.5 billion. So answer 3,747 minus 1,247, 2,500 million. Most of you got the correct answer. And the last part, average cost. So average cost equal total cost divided by quantity. Total cost divided by the quantity produced. Here total cost we calculate 1,247 million, and that divided by 3 million. So answer for one mobile phone, cost per one mobile phone is $415.67. $415.67. Some of you actually round off to one decimal point. Some of you have write it to 3 significant figures. Some of you provide this answer $416. Because I haven't mentioned specifically a calculate average cost per mobile phone to 2 decimal points or 3 significant figures or 1 decimal point. So I accept any answer, but answer is $415.67. Right. So that's the third question. So most of you actually got 6 out of 6 for this question from the costing part. That means you know the difference between the fixed cost, variable cost, total revenue, total cost, average cost, everything. That's the main objective of this question, right? The last question of this paper is the 5-mark question, 12-mark question. Evaluate the impact of issuing more shares to raise 100 billion in 2021 for the new research and development project of Apple car. You should use information provided as well as your knowledge of this. In this case, I expected the mainly to about evaluation of the new share issue. But I found a couple of students actually have written about the research and development. They master on research and development, which is wrong. They talk about the share issuance because this is source of finance. I'm checking external source of finance. So you have to define what is meant by share issue, and then you have to talk about two advantages of the new share issue for the Apple, and then two drawbacks or two limitations of the new share issues for the Apple, and then conclusion. So the 12 marker structure, is definition, two advantages, two disadvantages, and the conclusion. So possible, normally share issue, you can actually define this one as the first time in the organization Apple Incorporation operate in the New York Stock Exchange. Share issue is an external source of finance where new shares being sell in the stock exchange to the investors, and they're raising money out of that. So advantage of this share issue is the Apple no need to pay it back. So it's like a interest-free loan, kind of it's a equity capital for the organization. Therefore, they can reduce the burden of paying interest and paying back like a bank loan. No need to pay back. So that's the thing. As a result, they can invest, like take more money for the R&D project. It's a massive amount. Actually, so this case you can R&D, you can talk about the Apple car development and R&D. As a result, what Apple this share, this one you can use this kind of money for their research and development projects, and no need to pay the paid back for the company. Therefore, financial burden will reduce. As a result, they can actually design quality products. They can have more money. They will be more competitive. Some of you actually write this question by comparing with others, like they can like compare with the like electric vehicle like Tesla. Some talk about that even the Tesla also they are going to share issue like that. So they have and some people talk about Samsung, even Huawei, like this. They are like a similar competitors, so they analyze this thing. So and they talk about the impact of the share market, like as a result of the share issue, what happened in the share market. Sometimes the share prices can go down. They call dilution of ownership can possible. New investors can invest here, and then as a result, Apple ownership might be in problem. Dilution of ownership, like people might buy new shares, and the ownership, the controlling power will lose to the Apple. So that's a however points, limitations, and you have to pay a massive dividends also if they have profit out of this project. The dividends also you have to pay only if you have profits only. So most of the students actually write very good answers in this question. And the conclusion, so a lot of students talk about they should go with the like a venture capital. Some people recognize and some people recommend this is a very good method. There are good and bad of the share issue. They can be a market leader out of this in the new market segment. For an R&D project, I think so a lot of people recommended the venture capital method. And some people talk about the social platforms, crowdfunding methods for this also. So I think this is very successful. A lot of people write. I think highest mark for this 12 mark, got one student got 9 out of 12. 9 out of 12. So that means most of you got above 5 or 6. So 12 marker, I expected more application points here, and then 2 positives and 2 negatives with the context and the conclusion. Okay, so that's a 12 marker structure. So that's the end of the mid-paper discussion. So most of your actually marks are good. I'm happy with your marks. So most of you actually this question and everything I designed for like a 1 hour time, like 50 minutes paper, and then paper is out of 33. So right, so that's all about the paper discussion, right?